Om Shanti. The subject I'm going to speak on is the depth of karma. This subject is definitely a very deep subject. Although it is only one word, karma, but there is so much depth in this one word. And that is why the Gita says it is not easy for anyone to understand the depth of karma. It's not easy. So why there is so much depth? Actually, it should be very easily understood, because the simple meaning of the word karma is not something very great. The word karma comes from a Sanskrit word kuru, that means to do, an action. In grammar, we say it's a verb. Any verb means an action. To sit, to eat, to talk, to hear, to speak, to speak, to anything you do. It's an action, it's karma. But it's not so simple. And therefore, we have to understand its depth. Another simple meaning of karma would be, as it is always said, as you do, so shall you reap. The Bible says it. All religions say it. As you do, as you sow, so shall you reap. As is the seed, so is the fruit. The simple way of understanding karma is this. But it's not so simple. Because between the seed and the fruit, there is such a wide gap, such a wide margin. And therefore, all the things which come in between the seed and the fruit have also to be accounted for in order to understand karma. Just like if your seed may be very good, very precious, very expensive, but then is it enough for the seed only to be good and expensive? Because the land, the soil in which you are going to sow that seed also has to be that rich. And then you have to also water the seed. You have to give sunshine to the seed. You have to protect the seed. You have to, when the fruit starts coming, you have to protect that raw fruit too. You should not pluck it when it is raw, because it needs to be ripened. And once it's ripe, you're most welcome to eat it. So there's such a wide margin between the seed and that fruit. And therefore, to understand all that is also understanding karma. So it's not so simple as it is explained in science. As is the action, so is the reaction. As you act, So action and reaction are equal and opposite. This may be in a physical way, no doubt. action and reaction are equal and opposite. A very big theory of science. We can understand this in nature, and the example of that is given in the art gallery. Those balls are there, and you hit, with one ball you hit the other balls, and the amount of energy used to hit those balls then is divided between those balls, but then when those balls come back, they hit that first ball with the same force. So this comes back. So it is said action and reaction are equal and opposite. And sometimes we use it in a very simple way in karma, that if you give happiness, then you get back happiness. If you give sorrow, you get back sorrow. Just like if you sow a mango seed, you will get a mango fruit. If you sow an apple tree, you won't get a mango fruit, you'll get apple fruit. But all this is very easily understood in matter. But where spirituality is concerned, there is a much greater depth than just this. Because the word spirituality comes from the word spirit, spirit. And when we understand spirituality, we understand it in 4 aspects. The spirit, that is the soul, and pertaining to the soul, all other things can be understood. For example, supreme soul, the supreme spirit. Then the spirit coming in the cycle, so the cycle of the spirit, because it interacts with nature, and in nature everything goes through a cycle, and therefore that spirit has to go through the cycle, and therefore we call it the knowledge of time. So knowledge of soul, knowledge of supreme soul, knowledge of time, the cycle, and then the knowledge of karma, because the spirit or the soul performs the actions and reaps for those actions according to the cycle of time. So all these 4 aspects are understood in the word spirituality. So this subject of karma is one part of spirituality. And therefore we have to understand the all other 3 parts also in order to understand spirituality. So we do know the other 3 parts: soul, supreme soul, and the cycle. And therefore the 4th part is the karma theory. So why is karma not easily understood? The first reason I mentioned was that the distance, the gap between the seed and the fruit is also very important. And also the intensity is important. So we understand this karma philosophy on the basis of that too. Therefore when laws are made, it's not just straightforward laws. There are so many bylaws. There are so many exceptions, so many things. So many articles in those laws. Because at every step, there could be little difference. So I won't go into the subject of law, but definitely we can understand this subject in a spiritual way. It used to be said in the earlier days that if a grandfather sows a mango seed, it used to take so long for the tree to grow and the fruit to come that the grandfather would never be able to eat it in his own lifetime. He would die. But then his grandson would get the fruit, There's a joke on this also. And they say an old man was sowing a mango seed. And a passerby asked him, "What are you doing?" He's saying, "I'm sowing a mango seed." And that person said, "You sowing a mango seed? You're such an old man. When are you going to get its fruit? You won't live for that long." He said, "Doesn't matter. My grandchildren will reap." "So you sow, and why you are sowing for your grandchildren?" He said, "Well, what my grandfather sowed, that I'm reaping." His grandfather had also sown a mango seed, but his grandfather never ate in his life, but he's eating it, what his grandfather had sown. So we can say that if a grandfather sows a mango seed, his grandson reaps that fruit. But for the seed of karma, can you say it like that? That my grandfather sowed the seed and I eat the fruit? Can it be said? A very interesting joke is mentioned on it. I usually tell that once, nowadays business is done in a very different way. They put sale outside. Actually, they increase the rate and then they put sale and then they cut and then they say this is the rate. Actually, that's the original rate. But just to attract customers, they put sale and then show one figure, cut that and show the other figure, which is little lesser rate. So there was a hotel, a restaurant, and in that restaurant it was written, "You eat and your grandson will pay." You eat and your grandson will pay. So someone went and ate a great deal, and he had snacks and everything. He ate to his heart's content, and the bill was brought to him. He said, "Why do I have to pay? It's written outside. You eat and your grandson will pay." And he said, "But this is not your bill, it's your grandfather's bill." Did you get the joke? It's your grandfather's bill. Actually, that thing was just an attraction. When did the grandfather eat and when will the grandson pay, But then that's a way to attract. And whatever you eat, your grandson will pay. But this is a way of attracting. And it can be possible that the grandfather eats and the grandson pays. Well, those are physical things. But then where karma is considered, what your grandfather did, you will not pay for it. You will pay for whatever you did or whatever you do. But then when you will pay for it or when you will reap the fruit, it's not so easy to understand. And if the fruit is there, when did you do that action? When did you sow that seed for which you are reaping the fruit now? Even that cannot be understood immediately. And this is why the questions, the question arises. What karma have I done that I am reaping this fruit now? But when we are doing the karma, we hardly realize what I'm going to reap for this karma I'm doing. But when we are reaping, we ask, what karma did I do? But then we do understand that whatever I get is what I have given. I cannot get anything which I have not given. In India, this is a very interesting custom. When a child is not, taking milk or not taking fruits, not eating, doesn't like some dish or whatever, the child is not eating well. So what people say, that make him give charity, make him do some donation. Supposing he's not drinking milk. So they say, okay, make him donate milk. If he's not eating fruit, make him donate fruit. So maybe he's not eating because it's not in his fate. So make him donate it. And once he does that action, he'll get it back and then he will want to eat or he'll want to drink milk. So this is why they make little children also do donations, giving. It's very important because you will get back only what you give. But then we have to understand the depth of how we give and how we get back. Sometimes we don't understand and therefore these questions come. They do come. But of course, one thing is certain, I cannot blame anyone else. I cannot say that this one is giving me sorrow. I cannot even say that I don't give sorrow to someone, but why does that one give me sorrow? There's so many questions of this type. Because the first thing is, if I say, why does he give me sorrow? I could ask it in another way, why do I take sorrow? If I don't want to take, it's up to me. I'm not forced to take sorrow. It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind, is it not? There's a very interesting story on this. That once a king told one of his ministers, who was very intelligent, and he wanted to test his intelligence, so he told his minister, go and find a ring. And the criteria of that would be that ring should be such that when you put it on, if you are in a happy mood and you put on that ring, you will become unhappy. You become unhappy. And if you are in an unhappy mood and you put on that ring, you will become happy. So I need a ring which, when I put on, makes me happy or unhappy. If I'm happy, it should make me unhappy. And when I'm unhappy, it should make me happy. So find such a ring. Now this minister thought, how can there be such a ring? By putting on, if one is happy, he becomes unhappy, and by putting on, if he's unhappy, he becomes happy. What the ring has to do with it? But then that minister was being tested by the king. So he went and searched and searched and searched, and ultimately he found an old man and said, what should I do? The king has told me tonight, and I don't know what type of ring can I give. What difference does it make by putting on, how it will make him happy or unhappy? He said, it's very simple. You get a ring, and on that ring you write down, this also will pass away. You understand? This also will pass away. Well, he wrote it down and gave it to him and said, give this ring to the king. This also will pass away. So he brought that ring, and the king said, how this wordings will help? So, it did help. How? That whenever he was in a happy mood, and if he put it on, this also will pass away, and he became sad because that happy moment will pass away. And when he put it on when he was unhappy, this also will pass away. Means this sorrow or this unhappiness will also pass away, and that brought him happiness because it won't stay for long, this unhappiness. So it's all in your mind. If I'm in a happy state and I say, this also will pass away, even if it's a happy feeling, happy moment, you'll become sad because it won't stay long. And if you're in an unhappy state and you say, this also will pass away, you have that satisfaction, that mental, tranquility within, never mind, this will pass away, it won't stay long, it will pass away. That will give you some consolation. So it's just one word. But that one word can either give you sorrow, it's one sentence only, 4 words. This also will pass away. But it can give you sorrow, it can give you happiness, because it's all in the mind. So many stories of this type. So if I say that someone gave me sorrow, but then how do I take it? Why did he give me sorrow? What does he think of himself? I also will show him. I'm no less, Then of course the anger will increase and it will lead to more action and reaction and action and reaction. But if I say, okay, he tried to give me sorrow, but where did it hurt me? And immediately I just neglect it, I ignore it. Where is the sorrow? So it's all in the mind, definitely. But then how much we take it also depends on our karma. However much you may explain to somebody, don't take the sorrow, but still they can't forget. I know of a person, she was on a deathbed, dying. But she was crying and crying and crying. So her children were telling her, why are you crying? For what reason? She said, my husband did this to me, my father-in-law did this to me, my mother-in-law did this, my brother-in-law did. Now they're all dead and gone, nobody's alive. And she's also old. But still she's remembering the past. So, and giving, making the whole family, the whole atmosphere so sorrowful. And everybody trying to tell her, don't remember that, it's all finished. Now remember God, remember God. She was not in Gyan. Remember God. Somebody was sharing this news with me. But she just couldn't. She was crying and crying and crying, and ultimately in that state of crying, she died. So she finished her karma, whatever she had, even though she was being told, because the children were there, the family was so good, everyone had taken such good care of her, she had so much love for her, but still her end was so sad because she had to finish her karma anyway, and she couldn't understand that even though she was being told, doesn't matter, forget, it's all gone, but she couldn't. So we understand that how we take sorrow. Even if nobody is giving us sorrow, or even if somebody is, it's up to us to take or not take. Sometimes we say that I don't give that person sorrow, but then that person always feels that I'm giving him or her sorrow. This is the other way around. I have no bad intentions, my bhavna, my feelings are so good for that person. I have great respect for him, great love for him. But then I feel that he takes a lot of sorrow and he thinks I'm giving sorrow. So I don't know what to do. I feel so sad that why is he taking sorrow when I don't have any wrong feelings for him or her? Well, at that time, have this thought, it's his own karma. It's not your karma. You are not giving sorrow. But his own karma are responsible for giving him sorrow. Maybe in the form of doubt, maybe in the form of suspicion, maybe in the form of guesswork, guessing and suspecting and doubting and whatnot. So these thoughts are giving him sorrow. It's not that you are giving him sorrow. So what you have to do is to have good wishes for that person. That, well, this poor soul is really reaping his karma, no doubt, because even he can't help it. He too says, I understand, but I can't help it because the karma are there. So this is how karma comes into existence. But then I reap the fruit of my karma. Nobody else is going to reap my fruit. But depends upon the intensity. Supposing I have a finger, this finger, what I do with this finger, I just draw a line in the air. Nothing is visible. So I just draw a line, but then it's definitely in action. But it's drawn in the air, and you can't see the air, and therefore you can't see the line. Because it's invisible. But still an action has happened. But now the same action, I can do it when I'm maybe having a pool of water in front of me and I draw a line in that water. Immediately a line will be drawn. It will be visible even for a second. The line will be visible. But after a second it will disappear. So action is the same. But the reaction is different. The line is visible. It is a line. I have drawn a line and it becomes visible only for a second. But then what I do is I take my finger and draw a line on sand. So Sand means something more solid than water. And that line will be visible even more for a longer time. Though afterwards it can disappear, but it will be there for some time. Much more than a line on water. But then if I take a sharp, pointed thing, and I use a lot of force and draw a line on a stone, that line will last for so long. So action is same, just drawing a line, that's all. But the reaction is so different. Of course, the reaction is the same in a way, it's a line drawn, but then it's so lasting. The same thing goes, I make sound, a large sound, I'm shouting. But where am I shouting? Maybe in a place where there are no rocks, no mountains, no barriers. It's open land, it's open desert. Nothing is there. And I'm shouting. What will happen? What will happen? Will it be heard? Huh? I probably will not be able to hear my own voice, my own shouting. But then, if I go inside the dome, and I just even whisper on one side of the dome, the other side, if there's somebody there putting his ear against the wall, he'll be able to hear my whisper, my sound. Even though there's a big distance between the sound I make in the wall and the other one maybe 10 yards or 20 yards away. He will be able to hear. It's only a whisper. And a big scream and a shout has no effect because it's all barren. So it depends on what I'm doing the action. So Baba tells us that children, you have to pay a lot of attention to your karma. But then how this karma comes in the form of a cycle. And that's how the cycle can be understood on the basis of karma. The actions we perform in golden age and silver age, the actions we perform in copper age and iron age, and the actions we perform at the confluence age. All are different. That's why the ages change. From golden age to silver age, why does copper age and iron age come? What actions do the deities do which make the ages change and they become copper age and iron age? And what actions do people do in copper age and iron age, which makes the world become the degraded form of hell, the end of iron age, the fag end of iron age, paving the way for God to descend in this world. And then what actions we perform at the confluence age, again paving the way for the golden age to come. So all the actions are different. And this is also how we understand karma philosophy, which leads to the ages. But the question comes that what leads to what? Do actions lead to the ages? Golden age, silver age, copper age, iron age, or the ages lead to our actions? What leads to what? Huh? The age leads to our action, or the action leads to the age? Action leads to the age. So, for example, people may say, if the people are committing many sinful actions and all the corruption, the adulteration, the impurity, the vices, many people say, but what can you do? This is Kali Yuga. This is Iron Age. So Iron Age means that, Kali Yuga. The word Kali has many meanings in Hindi. Kal means black, Kal means machine, Kal means dark. Kal means iron, all that iron, Kal. And Satyug, truth, golden, all that. So big difference. So do the ages lead to our actions, or do our actions lead to the ages? It's because it's Kali Yuga and therefore there is so much of vices and all that, or because of the vices there is Kali Yuga? What will you say? Because of the vices. Of course, it's vice versa too. Because it also time factor comes. Baba says everything is predestined, everything is eternal. And therefore actions and the time, they go together. So actions lead to the time and time leads to the actions. And then that leads to the reaction. So when we understand this, then we realize how much depth there is in this philosophy of karma. What actions had we been committing in Copper Age and Iron Age? People know only two types of actions. Which two type of actions? Sinful actions and charitable actions, what we call as in Hindi, Paap and Punya. Some people say, what Paap did I do? What sin did I commit for this to have happened? Or if somebody is having happiness, lots of wealth, all that, so what good action did that person do? What charitable action he did that he had to reap that? So these two actions are understood. So what is charitable action and what is sinful action? Baba says, we describe sinful action. What is a sinful action? There's a very beautiful phrase in Hindi about sinful action and charitable action. The Hindi words go, Daya dharma ka mool hai, paap mool abhiman. Daya, mercy. Mercy is the basis for charitable action and for religion or good pious work. So mercy, compassion, all these words go in that. Daya dharma ka mool hai, the seed or the basis of dharma, religion or all that we say is mercy. Paap mool abhiman. The basis of sinful action is ego. That's a very beautiful saying. Because all the sins start from the word I, as Baba says in the Murlis. I is the first gate to sinful action. And the second gate is my. I and mine. So I means ego, my means attachment. And when there's I and mine, then comes you and yours. So when there is you and yours, then I and you, then this difference comes. This is mine, this is yours. And that makes a difference between human beings, devils and deities. We have a very lovely saying. What's the difference between a devil, a human being and a deity? A devil will say, whatever is mine, and whatever is yours is also mine. Mine is mine, yours is also mine. Yours is mine and don't ask me what is mine. Don't ask for mine and yours is mine. So mine and yours, all these things. So everything belongs to me, everything is mine. This is a devil's way of thinking. And a human being's way of thinking will be, he's not a devil, he's not that bad. But he'll say, okay, yours is yours, mine is mine. You keep yours away, I don't want to touch yours, but I will not part with what is mine. So yours is yours, mine is mine. And a big wall is created between the two, so yours is separated from mine. You don't come, you don't interfere in my work, and I won't interfere in your work, so we separate. We create walls and barriers. So that's what human beings are doing today. But then a deity, what will he say? Whatever is yours, and whatever is mine is also yours. So just give everything and become empty, is it? Become empty? Give up everything? Huh? All belongs to you. So actually a deity will say, yours is mine, mine is yours. Mine and yours. Why do you differentiate between mine and yours? Like living like good neighbors. If I have anything scarce with me and you have it, and therefore I can ask you and you share yours, and what you have scarce, you ask me and I share with mine, so we become very good neighbors. Because it doesn't matter whatever is yours, whatever is mine is yours, you can take. And the other one will say, okay, whatever is mine is yours. So mine is yours, yours is mine. This is what happens in Golden Age, called barter system. That's what we do in Madhuban. In Madhuban, there are so many departments. But now if one department wants something, they'll go to another department, do you have it? And if I have it, we give. And if I want something and I ask and they have, they give. So this is exchange. It's exchange. So in Golden Age, there's no currency, there is no buying and selling, there are no accounts kept, because everything is in plenitude. But it is definitely exchange. The barter system is there in Golden Age. And therefore there's nothing lacking in the coffers of the deities, because everything is there. Supposing something is missing, there is always someone to give me, because that one will say mine is yours and I'll say mine is yours. So yours is mine, mine is yours. And what about a yogi? We are not deities yet. But we are yogis. So what will a yogi say? Something very high. Yes, a yogi will say, nothing is mine, nothing is yours, everything is his. Everything is Baba's, nothing is mine. And nothing is yours. I will tell others also, don't think it is yours, it is Baba's, it is Baba's. It belongs to Baba. This body belongs to Baba, the mind belongs to Baba, the wealth belongs to Baba. So if it belongs to Baba, I am only entrusted with it. Baba does not need anything from me. He is not going to take my wealth to Paramdham. He is not going to build palaces in Paramdham. You see? He doesn't need. He doesn't even eat. Baba says, I don't even eat. You offer me, I don't even eat, because I have no stomach, no body. But then, by considering everything to belong to Baba, what happens? We are entrusted with it. We become trustees. So we cannot do anything against Baba's Srimad, because it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to Baba. There's a very beautiful saying in Bhakti. They say, what you have is God's gift to you. And what you make of it will be your gift to God. It's a beautiful way of saying it, that what you have, God has given to you. And what you make of it, you won't take it with you anyway, or whatever you have in this world will remain here. But what you make of it will be your gift to God. Whatever you make of it here, you leave behind it here, you give it back. But whilst you are leaving, do you consider that also to belong to God? Whatever I have at this time. So this is the difference between the actions we perform in the whole cycle. So in Copper Age and Iron Age, Baba said you had been either performing sinful actions or you were performing charitable actions. Yes, definitely charitable actions have been performed on the path of devotion. Baba speaks in the Murlis that when Copper Age began, people started building temples, churches, mosques, because that became the necessity of the hour. And therefore, these religious places were built. then there was scarcity, and therefore people started giving donations. Those who had more, they gave away in charity, in donation, and therefore it became like charitable action. But then the vices also began, and that is why the sinful actions also took place. Because any action committed on the basis of body consciousness will lead to a sinful action. So all these vices came: lust, anger, greed, attachment, ego, prejudice, hatred, jealousy, all based on body consciousness. But then again, Baba says that the intensity also was important, because if that sinful thought came without it coming into words, it was just like drawing a line in the air. The thought came and it finished. It didn't come in words. Very often we have an impure thought in the mind, but we do not bring it into words and actions. And the result is it can finish in the mind itself. But sometimes in the mind it is so intense that the reaction is that it will come in the other one's mind also. Although I haven't said a word, it will come in the other one's mind as well. I will tell you another story on this, how it affects the other one's mind as well, and that's how we give sorrow. Baba says, don't give sorrow even in thoughts. If I am not speaking, but even if I'm thinking ill of somebody, I'm giving sorrow to that person, because he also is getting the vibration of my impure thoughts or bad thoughts or whatever thoughts I have, negative thoughts I have for that person. So there's a very interesting story on this. That once there was a king, and he had a very good friend who was a big merchant. He was a merchant having many forests which had sandalwood trees. So the sandalwood is an expensive wood, and not very many people buy sandalwood so easily. It's expensive. So his business was not very good because nobody was buying sandalwood. And then a thought came in his mind that what if the king dies? Then to cremate the body of a king, everybody will use sandalwood, because sandalwood only they'll bring to cremate the body of the king. So the king should die, then my sandalwood would be sold. At that very moment, the king had the thought that if this businessman dies, then all his forest which has sandalwood trees will become mine, will become of the kingdom. Now both thought of each other, because the merchant, the businessman thought the king should die. And then the king had this strong thought that he should be killed. And somehow or the other there was an accusation made on him. And the king called that businessman to the court. Now, when he was told that the king is calling you in his court, immediately that businessman was so afraid. My God, maybe the king has come to know that I'm having this thought that he should die. And therefore, he is calling me. I don't know what type of punishment he will give me. But then, at that moment, the thought came in his mind, okay, I will go and ask for forgiveness from the king. And that this thought which I had that you should die was not a good thought, and please forgive me for having such a thought about you. Actually, he didn't know why the king was calling him. He didn't even know that there was an accusation against him. He didn't even know that the king had thought that he would give him a punishment by hanging him and all that. So nothing this man knew. He just thought, why is the king calling me? So his own negative thoughts were actually making him get frightened, because he thought maybe the king is calling me so that he wants to punish me for having the thought that he should die. So he said, let me go to the king and first ask for forgiveness. So when he was going to the king, he started churning, what to do, how to ask for forgiveness, and really I will go and lie prostrate in front of the king, and I will plead to him, please forgive me for having this thought about you, and I'll surrender myself. Now at that very moment the king also had a thought. How these thoughts carry, how they move. So the king had the thought, but how do I know whether he has really done something wrong? Maybe the one who has accused him is speaking lies. Let me at least ask him first. Let me at least find out what the problem is. How can I just say that he should be hanged? So he said, let him come, then I'll speak to him. And when that person went to the king in a very frightened state, immediately he fell at his feet and said, please forgive me, king, please forgive me. I had such a bad thought about you. And that very moment the king had a thought, you forgive me because I had a bad thought about you. See? When that merchant had a bad thought, the king had a bad thought. When the merchant had a good thought, the king also had a good thought. So this is why Baba says that if I want somebody else to change, I should change first. How can I expect someone to change if I don't change? I don't want to change my feelings, and I want him to change. Why should he change? Because I haven't changed. So if I want him to change, I should change first. Therefore we say when you're pointing out your finger towards somebody, you are pointing out only one finger, but 3 fingers are towards yourself. That means he may be wrong in one way, but 3 ways I am wrong, because my 3 fingers are pointing towards me. So this again, karma philosophy is understood in this way. It's not just actions, but even the thoughts count. In Sakar Murlis, Baba sometimes says that children, if you have any impure thoughts, okay, they may come in your thoughts, but don't allow them to come into words and actions. Because if they come into words and actions, they will become sinful actions. Finish them in your thoughts. But in Avyakt Murlis, Baba doesn't say that. Baba says, even in your thoughts, they shouldn't come. Because you are now reaching your highest stage. It's like when you're climbing. When you're at the bottom, okay, if you fall, doesn't matter. But if you reach the top, nearly at the top, you have either one step up to reach the top or one step down and to fall down. It's like a snake and ladder game. Snake and ladder game? There is one ladder which starts from number 3 and reaches up to 98. And if you come there, you can go straight up to 98. But there is one snake which starts at 2 and it is there in 99. Whatever it is. So if you reach 99 and you're just one step to 100, and if you reach that snake, what will happen? It will take you straight to 2. And if you come to 3, you can go straight to 98 because the ladder is taking you there. So this wonderful snake and ladder game. So this is what Baba says. When you were at the bottom, okay, if any impure thoughts came, doesn't matter, okay, because you're still at the bottom only, doesn't matter. You can rise. Even if you have come late, you can still rise. Because it's like a musical chair game. Nobody has occupied the seat yet. Even the 108 are not declared. Even the 8 are not declared. Even 8 are not declared yet. Just 1 and 2, that's all they are declared. Baba, Mama, that's all. I remember once somebody told Dadi Prakashmani, Dadi ji, your stage is so high, you will surely become Sri Narayan II. Sri Narayan II, you will surely become that. And Dadi said, who told you? Who told you? Did Baba tell you? Baba has not told me yet that you will become Sri Narayan II. So we are all running in the race. Even you can become second Narayan. Why do you think that you cannot become? So Daddy encouraged him. So what I'm trying to say is, it's like we're all in the musical chair game. The music is not stopped yet. And therefore, even in our thoughts, it shouldn't come. Up to that level, Baba is taking us. But then we understand this karma philosophy that these sinful actions can result in so much of karmic accounts being created. And we have to reap for those karmic accounts. So, on the path of devotion, whatever actions were performed, they were either charitable actions or sinful actions. But then it's like, charitable actions was like earning money, and then sinful action was like spending the money. You earn a certain amount of money in 1 month. At the end of the month, you get that pay packet. But then you are spending the money and you're finishing that money. And again you're earning, again spending, earning and spending. But then sometimes it happens that your earning is not enough. Your expenditure is much more than your earning. And the result is there is credit. You have to take loan, you have to take credit and all that. So there's like a bondage. It's like a burden. It's like a debt. So when Copper Age began, the earning was very good because we were doing good actions, we were helping people, we were doing charitable actions, and compared to that, the sinful actions were less. So those charitable actions were much more than the sinful action, and therefore we were carrying forward definitely our good actions, our charitable actions. Like Baba says that on the path of devotion, supposing somebody is giving money to the poor or helping in charitable organizations, then definitely in his next birth he will be born in a rich family because he has helped a lot, in his previous birth. So there's also a very interesting story on this. I love to tell stories. You are happy to hear stories? Yes? So it's a very interesting story. Once there was an 80-year-old man. He was a very wealthy businessman. He had 4 sons, all very prosperous, big business, lots of factories and, businesses, and very rich, very good family, very prosperous. So somebody asked him a question. He asked him, "How old are you?" And that old man said, "I'm only 20 years old." He was 80, but he said, "I'm only 20 years old." And that man said, "Look at him, how can he hide his age as if from his face is not visible? How can he be 20 years old?" But, well, that man was a respectable man, so he wouldn't want to argue with him. They said, "Okay, can I ask you how many children do you have?" He said, "I have only 1 son." Actually, he had 4 sons, and all were big businessmen, all prosperous. But he said, "I have only 1 son." So that person who was asking him knew that this fellow is telling lies. He is hiding something. Then he asked, "Okay, can I know how much assets you have, how much property you have and all that?" He said, "Maybe a few $100,000 of rupees, whatever, few 100,000. When everything of his income was running in millions, so how could it be just a few 100,000? So that person asked this man, "Tell me, sir, are you hiding something? I know it's not the truth, but in what way are you saying this? What is your argument on this?" He said, "Let me tell you. This body may be 80 years old, but I am only 20. And he asked, "How?" He said, the 60 years of my life I spent in doing all the wrong actions, all the sinful actions which are possible. I have done everything. But when I became 60, I changed myself. I gave everything to my children to take over, and they are doing the business and and therefore I think that my life is just 20 years because these 20 years have been totally different from my first 60 years. And therefore, that's my true life now." Now, was he speaking lies if he said he was 20 years? Was he speaking lies? No. And then he said, what about your children? He said, I have 4 children, 4 sons, but 3 sons are not connected with me. They don't come to me, they don't speak to me, they don't tell me what they are up to, how much they are earning and how they are spending. No communication at all with those 3 sons. No link whatsoever. And I don't even know where they are because they don't want to keep connection. So I don't think that they are my sons because my karmic accounts finished with those children. But one son, yes, he lives with me and he tells me everything, so there's good business together. And therefore, I believe that I have only one son because my accounts are only with one son. Then what about your assets, he asked. He said, if all the 4 sons' money is put together, it will run into millions. But then the amount of charity I have given with my own hands, that is my real income. Because if I leave my body at this time, what will I take with me? What will accompany me? Only that what I have done with my own hands. Because all the money which is in the banks, which is in the share business, whatever, he had many businesses, will all remain because I will be no more. But whatever I have given in charity with my own hand, that is my real asset because that's my karma, which I have made for myself, which I will carry forward in my next life. Now, whatever he said, whatever answers he gave, were they right or were they wrong? Absolutely right, but practically it was quite different from what he said. So this is the theory of karma. So in Copper Age, Iron Age, as Baba says, at the beginning charitable actions are more. And sinful actions not that many because vices are not that tamo-pradhan, Because even the vices have stages. Sato-pradhan, sato, rajo, tamo. Now the vices are in tamo-pradhan stage. Absolutely degraded form. So therefore, the good actions, the charitable actions were there. But then because some sinful actions were happening, because of body consciousness, vices, they were being cut. But then later on, the charitable actions are lesser and lesser because greed comes, attachments come, ego comes, jealousy, hatred, all these things increase and increase. When we reach the end of Kali Yuga, we are like paupers, spiritually paupers. No account, no income at all in our budget. It's only expenditure and expenditure in the form of sinful actions. Because every action is committed under the influence of body consciousness. And therefore, very often people, when we say that, how many sinful actions people commit from morning till night? They start with the first word, I. And somebody very interestingly said that this alphabet I is spoken the most. We have so many hundreds and thousands of words in the dictionary. But which word is spoken the most? Which word? Not all those thousands of words in the dictionary, but the word I. Me. In Hindi we say me. And mera, mine. 2 words are mine, I and mine. And therefore Baba says at the end of Iron Age we have got so much debts of sinful actions on our head. And therefore Baba comes to finish that. And for that he teaches us the righteous actions. Many people say in the world, why should we have knowledge of soul and supreme soul and cycle? What's the need? That's karma, knowledge of karma is enough. Karma knowledge is enough. Don't give sorrow to someone, nothing belongs to you, okay, nothingness, it's there. But why should we have knowledge of soul and supreme soul and the cycle? Karma, okay. That's all what we should know. And for that we should be just doing righteous actions. But then, how will you do righteous actions until you have the knowledge of soul and supreme soul and cycle? Because the righteous action starts from soul consciousness. And if the knowledge of soul isn't there, how will you do the righteous action? Who is doing the righteous action? If I say I, again, if there's a body conscious I, it's not going to be a righteous action at all. And therefore, Baba said the other day in the Murli, how many types of I there are. There's not only the superiority complex I, but also the inferiority complex I. When you're frustrated, depressed, the negativity, that the downfall of it, the back form of it, or the inferior form of I. One is a superior form of I, the other is an inferior form of I. And the third form of I is what the sannyasis say. Baba says even that is not going to enable them to perform righteous actions. And that I is, I am God. I am God. Well, if you are God, then why are you here? I am God, you are God, we're all God. Now if we're all God, then what are we doing? So all the three I's, the superiority complex I, the inferiority complex I, and the super superiority complex, I am God. I remember a person, a young man, and he was very depressed, looked very depressed. His parents were so unhappy, they didn't know what to do because a young, intelligent boy and so depressed. So they said, please sister, can you help us and just speak to him? So I did not know how to start the conversation. So I asked him, you know who you are? Who you are, you know that? I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I said, if you were nothing, you wouldn't say that. Nothing will not say that I'm nothing. You're at least something. That's why you're saying I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I'm telling you I'm nothing. I said, well, do you really want to know who you are? No. I got so angry. So there are some people like that who say they are nothing. Some will say they are something. At least the inferiority complex I is also something, no? I am no good, I am this, I am, even that is something. But I am nothing. So the fourth is I am God. Well, what a type of ego is this? But then Baba comes and tells us the truth. You are a soul. You are the child of God. And once you understand this, then you start performing the righteous actions which Baba teaches us. Consider yourself to be a soul. See others as souls. So the moment you start seeing everyone as a soul, all the barriers finish. Oh, so many barriers and limitations there are in this world, they all finish. Because I'm a soul, you're a soul. And then when I say I'm the child of God, immediately more barriers of yours and mine also finish. For I and you finish, then when I'm child of God, the yours and mine also finishes. Because everything belongs to God. So religion, caste, creed, color, nationality, language, these limits all finish. And then when we are connected to God, then that enables us to get the strength from God to perform the righteous actions. Then only the values can be understood. Then only they can be brought into actions, because the soul realizes, I am a peaceful soul. If I don't have the awareness that I am a peaceful soul, how can I give peace to anyone? How can I feel peace myself? I can feel peace only when I have the realization that I am a peaceful soul. And therefore, Baba says, at this confluence age, you perform the righteous actions by becoming soul conscious and God conscious. And then Baba says 3 ways to eliminate the sinful actions which we have done in these 2 ages, copper age and iron age. Three methods. The best method is, children, remember me, and I will absolve you from all your sins. That is the best way of finishing our sins. Incinerate your sins in the fire of yoga. And we feel the lightness when I'm soul conscious and in Baba's remembrance, and I feel that how I'm being purified. That is one way. And the second method of finishing off all our sinful actions is performing as many righteous actions as possible, as many charitable actions as possible. Giving, sharing peace, sharing love, sharing everything. It's not only for me, it's for everyone. Whatever Baba says, you share. And in sharing, you are only multiplying. You are not really losing anything. Happiness shared is happiness doubled. It's not lost. You don't lose your happiness by sharing happiness. And therefore, Baba says, give this gyan to others. Keep doing seva. And the more you do seva, the more you are able to transform yourself, because you get that power. From seva also, from remembrance, from service, you get that power to change yourself. Supposing somebody tells me that go and give course to this student, and if my stage is not good, supposing, I'll say, no, my stage is not good. I don't want to give course to anybody. I'm not really feeling good. But if you really go and give course, if you really explain to somebody, even if your stage is not good, you just give knowledge to somebody, and that person feels the happiness, the peace, through what you have spoken to him or told him. That what you have given him will boost your happiness too. And the effort which you would have had to make in order to get your stage back, you don't have to make anymore, because by serving somebody, you're like blessed by that soul, and immediately your stage will go up without really making any effort. So the righteous action that you do of serving through your body, your mind, your wealth, gives you immediate fruit in the form of happiness. And when I'm eating that fruit or reaping that fruit or experiencing the happiness, it's like I'm finishing off my past karma. Even that, in that I'm finishing off my past karma. Because that stage which was not good was actually my karma. And when I'm serving somebody, that karma also finished, and immediately I'm so happy without really much effort, and I'm getting more profit in this way. So see the benefit? It's like, when somebody has murdered somebody, and the murderer is given life imprisonment. Now, life imprisonment means 99 years. That's usually like a lease, no? So that 99 years, they have to give some limit. So there's a 99 years. But then, in that culprit or whoever that person is, if he in the prison, if he changes himself, if he becomes good, if he's helping people, if he's really totally transformed, then his punishment reduces from life imprisonment to maybe just 10 years or 5 years or even 2 years. So where 99 years and where just 2 years, it changes because he has transformed himself. So this is what Baba says too, that at the confluence age, when you start performing those righteous actions, then whatever sinful actions of the past, they are eliminated, they are destroyed, they are finished in a way. Because the happiness increases. This is the proof. The happiness increase means the sinful actions are all finished. So one way is through remembrance. The other way is performing elevated actions. Even on the path of devotion, supposing somebody has committed a very sinful action, like businessmen, they speak lies, they, all the dirty things they do. But then whatever they earn from that, from the business, the bad businesses also if they do, they give some money in charity. They give some money in charity, and they think that by doing so, whatever those sinful actions which they have done in their life, they are eliminated because they have given some charity. It's all the big businessmen, they always give something in charity. So in a way, it is helping them, definitely, because the punishment is being lowered. They are getting the blessings of the people whom they have served, whether monetarily or physically or whatever way. So that's the second method of finishing the sinful actions. So the change in the self. And the third aspect of finishing of sinful actions is, do not commit any more sinful actions. And if any result is coming, just think, I'm settling my karmic accounts, I'm settling. Supposing somebody is abusing you, somebody is insulting you, somebody is backbiting about you, slander, all that. Don't worry. Baba knows. Baba, the Radhis know, you know. The truth is there in you. Doesn't matter. Some karmic account of some birth being settled. Doesn't matter. Don't be unhappy. If there's any physical ailment, doesn't matter. It's being finished. Karmic account finishing. Because if I won't finish now, then I'll have to finish it in Dharamrajpuri. Many say, our dadis, why they had to suffer so much? They did not commit any sinful action in this life. They were so good, everything so good about them. But they also had to suffer. Actually, it was not a suffering for Dadi Prakashmani. Baba said it once, that even though physically the body was very fragile, but her stage was so good, so good. She would be giving drishti to everybody, though she wouldn't be speaking. Never once Dadi said, I have pain. Some people, they scream, they shout in pain. Never once, because Dadi never felt. Because of blessing she received from all. But of course, the physical body was very fragile. But then it was all settling here. She didn't have to settle in Dharamrajpuri. Finishing here. So let it settle. Be happy because it's settling. I'm finishing my debt. Supposing I have some debt on my head and now I have some money, and that person whom I'm indebted to, and he comes to take the money from me, I'll be so happy to give. I'll say, okay, good, less burden on my head because I have the money to give. So this is finishing. But if I don't finish my accounts in these three ways, or settle them, or destroy them, or annihilate them, or incinerate them, then Baba says Dharamrajpuri. So which is better? Which is better? To finish now or to finish it in Dharamrajpuri? Yes. But then, because of the blessings we receive at the confluence age of serving souls, that also helps us to finish faster. Dadi sometimes says, 1% effort, 99% blessings. We sometimes say 20% medicine and 80% meditation. That helps us. Of course, medicine is needed, 20%, but 80% is meditation. So we say, oh, you do meditation, then why do you need medicine? Some people say. But no, medicine is also needed. Because to finish it off faster. And therefore Baba says, there is no sorrow at all. At the confluence age, we are experiencing the best of fruit. The instant fruit is more beautiful than the future fruit. And of course, the future fruit is destined. Why? Because Baba says, when you lead a pure life, you need a pure world. Baba sometimes gives an example, like in India we have these Indian administrative service exams. They are very, very difficult exams because then if somebody passes the IAS examination, Indian Administrative Service, then the government is compelled to give him a job. They have some administrative jobs. They must get it once they get their IAS degree. And therefore they are so difficult exams that very few pass. Because they have to have a job. The government is bound to give them a job. It has to. And therefore Baba says, if all my children, if they lead a pure life, will they live in this impure world? Where will they live? In the pure world. Therefore that pure world has to come. It is bound to come. It's destined. And God is creating that world. And who will be in that new world? His children. So this is how we understand the karma philosophy. But then again, last point, when you say, okay, we were deities, then why did we become human beings? I mean, what made us human beings? Many people question, what did the deities commit any sinful action that they had to become human beings? For Adam and Eve, they say that they ate the forbidden fruit, and this is why God cursed them. So they asked, what actions did the deities do which made them become human beings? They came down into Copper Age. Why didn't heaven last forever? But Baba says, in Golden Age and Silver Age, the actions performed are neither charitable actions, nor righteous actions, nor impure or sinful actions. But what actions are performed in Golden Age and Silver Age? They are called neutralizing actions. Neutralizing actions. The actions which we perform at the confluence age, they give us 100-fold reward, fruit for the Golden and Silver Ages. But then in Golden Age and Silver Age, we are not performing any righteous action of sowing the seed again. We're only eating and eating and eating and eating. And once that finishes then, like you put a capital amount of 100,000 rupees in the bank, supposing in India, so I'll say 100,000 rupees. So 100,000 is a big number, definitely. But if every day you are withdrawing 1,000 rupees, then what happens? After 100 days, what will happen? The bank balance will become zero because you have withdrawn 1,000 rupees every day. So 100,000 can finish in 100 days. So for half a kalpa, we are just reaping and reaping and reaping, we are just eating and eating, because we are enjoying the fruit of Golden Age and Silver Age. We are just reaping. We are eating and sharing, that's all. We are not creating any new karmas there. So neither righteous actions, nor sinful actions, nor charitable actions. Righteous actions are done at the confluence age, charitable and sinful actions in Copper Age and Iron Age. But Golden and Silver, just neutralizing actions. We reap for the righteous actions we perform at the confluence age, which are done under the basis of soul consciousness and God consciousness. There, soul consciousness, God consciousness may not be there. But soul consciousness, whatever, all is so natural. No efforts are being made. But we are reaping the fruit. We don't even know that this is the fruit of our righteous actions we have performed at the confluence age. How innocent we become. And therefore Baba says, this is your diamond age. This age, this birth is worth diamonds. Is much more than the Golden Age. Golden Age is lesser than the Diamond Age. Diamond is more precious than even gold. Therefore, this life of ours is the most valuable life. And therefore, every second we perform, every action we do has such a strong impact. It could be earning multi-millions, it could be losing multi-millions. Like big businessmen, their businesses are in millions. They earn millions and they lose also millions. Small business people, they earn little, they lose little. It's like that. So who are we? Who are we? Big businessmen. Having business with God, just imagine. So, every second, every breath, every moment, every action, every word, every thought, everything is so precious. Okay? Om Shanti. Yeah, any questions? Any questions? I think already 7:30, we have to finish. Anybody has any question? No? Okay. So let us sit in Baba's remembrance. Yes.